Okay, there's a question many people ask themselves. Are there animals in heaven? And we're going to see what Google tells us, see what we get. Do pets go to heaven? Will my pet be in heaven? Do pets go to heaven? Will we see pets in heaven? Do dogs go to heaven? Child wonders if animals go to heaven. Will I see my pet in heaven? So the question is out there. And let's see what we can find in YouTube. Pets heaven. Let's see. Animals talk to me from the afterlife. Pet heaven and the afterlife by Matt Fraser. Will my pet be in heaven? Nature in heaven. Do pets go to heaven? Okay, so the question is out there, and today I will be interviewing someone who claims she saw her dead pets in the afterlife. Okay, so thanks for being here. We're here with Shelly Curtis, and today we'll be talking about near-death experiences and also about the possibility that the animals and our pets will survive and will be with us in the afterlife. This is something that some people deny, other people accept, but the experience that Shelly Curtis had made me wonder. I'm gonna read what she posted in Facebook. I personally have not had a near-death experience, but I was pulled to the other side when my dog was dying. I was holding her in my arms. I knew she was going to die. She was paddling and panting. I kept telling her it was okay to go. She wanted to stay with me. I kept telling her she could go. All of a sudden, I saw my beloved horse that had died a month prior that she knew. The horse came across a large grassy meadow and greeted the dog. So the dog stopped, looked back at me one more time. I told her she could go, and they both took off running in the meadow and disappeared behind a copse of trees. Can you talk to us about your experience? Because it's really interesting, and I would like to know a little bit more about it. Thank you, Shelly, for coming, and welcome.
Oh, thank you, AJ. It's interesting to be here. I know this is a very unusual near-death experience. Occasionally, you'll read about people who are in a hospital room or somewhere like that, and their loved one is dying, and they'll have the shared experience with the loved one. This happened with my dog. This dog was so attached to me. I swear she always wanted to be my Siamese twin. And we were very, very bonded. I had got her as a 1.5-year-old dog, and she, I was in college at the time, and she just bonded to me so tightly. Anyway, she was 13 years old, and she had gotten out of the yard and got hit by a car. So I knew that the time was up. And I was holding her. Had her wrapped up in a blanket, and I was holding her. And you can, if you've had animals long enough, you know when they're on their way out. And I'm holding her, and she would kind of seizure, or she was paddling. They paddle when they die. Right. And I would hold her really tight, and she would stop and kind of focus back on me. And I kept telling her, it's okay to go. And then she would start the whole process again. And then she would come back to me, and I kept saying, you can go, you can go.
Was this, excuse me, was this shortly after she got hit
yes.
by the vehicle?
Yes. It was, we lived on a really busy 2-lane road, and I think one of my children had left the gate open.
You went to the street and you picked her up, or?
Right, I went to the street and picked her up, and I wrapped her up in the blanket and picked her up because it was raining out, so she was wet.
Oh.
And I wrapped her up in the blanket, and I was holding her because I loved her so much.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it happened in 1991, and it's still very, very raw. it's also something that you can't really tell many people because they think you're crazy.
Right.
So I had her in my arms and I was telling her to go. And my eyes were open. I'm holding her, my eyes are open. And all of a sudden, my vision was taken over by this beautiful green grassy meadow. And there were trees, a copse of trees in the background. And all of a sudden, my horse, we used to go trail riding a lot, and that dog would follow the horses. We'd go 15 miles, and that dog would follow the horses all the way in the mountains. And that particular horse was my personal horse. And the dog and the horse, sometimes I would see the dog out in the field just being near the horse. They had a real bond. Anyway, the horse came running up from behind the trees in this meadow, and the dog went up and sat down in front of the horse, and they sort of touched noses.
Right, but did the street disappear? I mean, were you taken to this meadow?
I was in my house, but I didn't see my house. All I saw was the meadow and the trees.
Okay. And it wasn't raining anymore.
It was not. I was inside my house holding the dog when this happened.
Okay,
and
so
it was beautiful sunshine. The meadow was just a lovely grassy green meadow with these trees off in the distance. And the horse came around the trees and down to where the dog was. The dog went up to meet the horse. They kind of touched noses and looked at each other. The dog turned around and looked at me one more time. I said, go ahead and go.
Were you still holding the physical dog?
I was, yes.
So there were two dogs actually at that moment, the one you were holding and the one you saw.
I was holding the dog's body, and her spirit that looked just like her
went
up and hit the horse.
Wow, that's amazing.
I don't think, and I've never heard anyone else have an animal story like that.
Well, I've seen several movies written by Chico Xavier. He was a Brazilian medium, and he wrote these several books, maybe like 100 books, but several of these were about the accounts of people who had died and later went to see him and dictated their stories. And in one of them, they mentioned that there are animals in heaven.
I read a book by a woman who had a near-death experience, and she was describing her feeling, they go through the tunnel.
Right.
And she said that she felt other people in the tunnel with her and animals.
Okay, so it's usually when people are about to die, it's a known fact that the dead relatives or friends come to greet the person who's dying. But in this case, the horse came to pick up, the dog. So it's a really amazing story. Thank you for sharing it, Shelly. You also said that you had another experience.
I had a stallion, and he got old, and he was crippled up, and I had him put to sleep.
Okay.
And I'm very upset about it because I felt really bad. And all of a sudden he appeared to me, and he was talking to me, and he's like, it's okay. It was my time. You did the right thing. I'm so happy you did that. I'm no longer in pain.
Where were you at the time, and how did this happen?
I was laying in bed. I hadn't fallen asleep yet.
Okay.
And I kind of in that state between sleep and awake, like you are when you're meditating. And he came to me, and I had the same experience when another very beloved horse had died. I personally believe that our animals are waiting for us on the other side.
Yes.
And they're grouped by our love for them and their love for us.
Okay.
I think that I'm kind of psychic. I am late to the game on that. I haven't really realized I'm psychic until the last 5 years or so.
Okay.
But in one meditation that I was at in a group setting, a lady said, who brought the horses? She had seen all the horses. And I was probably me, because I have had about 1,800 horses in my life.
How come so many?
I had a boarding stable and I bred horses for 35 years.
Wow.
Anyway, so I'm at that meditation, I saw myself sitting in a meadow
Okay.
and I was surrounded by thousands of horses and they all had their noses pointed at me.
Okay.
And they were all saying hi and they were just in rows and rows. It was like a lotus blossom made of
Yes.
horses
Wow, that's
with me in the
nice.
middle.
Great. Well, it's been great talking to you, Shelly. Shelly, I'm really surprised and amazed after hearing all you've said. You saw your dead pets in the afterlife, and that's something that not many people have done. So I'm really glad you came, and I just want to invite you who are watching this video, if you like it, please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. Also, you can leave your comment, and if you want to share your experience, please leave your name in the comment and we will contact you. Thanks a lot, Shelly. Take care. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you again soon with more stories. Thanks a lot,
Okay.
Shelly.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.